Welcome to the Scottish Paranormal Podcast. I'm your host Chris, and here we'll be delving into the multitude of strange occurrences that happen within Scotland and beyond. You can contact us with your accounts at the Scottish Paranormal Podcast at gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Podbean, and you can contact us by either means. Every single encounter makes a difference. One little more data point that we can add to the list. Your account may confirm somebody else's account, and their account may confirm your account. So please, if you get a chance, if you get any experiences, any accounts, drop me an email, scottishparanormalpodcast@gmail.com, or drop me a message on Facebook. Tonight's episode, we're on location with Peter. A short while ago, I'd found Peter's videos online, and I was linking some of the Fae material within Scotland, linked in with the present day stuff, UFOs, lights in the sky, orbs and things like that. I found these videos on YouTube. Once me and Peter got the connection, he agreed to take me out to where he was seeing some of these lights in the sky, or orbs or such like, and recount the stories. So I'd just like to say thanks to Peter for recounting the stories and taking me to the area where he had these accounts. As Peter described, some more investigation might be needed to see what these lights are, but it's definitely intriguing all the same. So find yourself a quiet place, plug those earphones in, get yourself a nice wee cup of tea, chill out and listen in. Hope all is well. To have a look at them. You want to start off, so when was the first time you'd seen the lights?
First time I saw a light on these hills was, I think it was in October 2018. I'd been for a drive on a Sunday, was heading down to Aberfoyle. This road I wasn't too sure about, so just taking a nice wee drive and more or less spotted a single bright light just above the line of the hill.
What time of year was it? Was it dark when you were here at this point?
It was October. It was still it was maybe late afternoon. It wasn't dark yet.
Aye.
It was still a wee bit bright. Not unlike the lighting just now. Stopped at a wee, was it here? I think I stopped. It was the same parking spot, stopped here and managed to catch it for 2 or 3 minutes. It just stayed, just didn't move at all. Wasn't obvious that it was a plane because it wasn't moving basically. It just, just stayed where it was, and it was there for a couple of minutes and then it just disappeared.
What kind of colour of light did you see?
It was white.
And in this area, so when you're driving this road, it's quite an isolated road, isn't it? Coming in,
quite isolated.
A lot of forestry. So just to give the listeners a wee description of the area, so you're coming through the Duke's Pass, which is basically a bit of hill area. You've got kind of some mountains in the background. You can hear a wee river or a wee stream running in the background there, but it's quite a lot of forestry and stuff like that, and it's a quite isolated road driving through the Duke's Pass. It takes you all the way up to like Callander and stuff like that. So like the vantage point that Peter's talking about, coming down the hill, and then you get a kind of good view a bit of the valley and the tree line and stuff like that. So so you've seen you've seen this thing in the sky,
yes.
Which was a kind of white light. And what did it do then? Did it descend or then land?
It just didn't move, Chris. I mean, an airplane away in the distance, you would expect to see some sort of movement in it.
Mm-hmm. It just stayed there, hung in the sky.
It just stayed. It just as if it was hovering in mid-air. Just very bright, just really noticeable.
At this point, was it dark at this point?
It would have been getting dark. It would have been late afternoon, but still enough light about. It wasn't, completely dark or anything.
Aye. So you seen that night. How long did you stay that night to watch this thing when it was there?
Just drove off right after that, and then.
How long were you in the lay-by for kind of watching it?
Maybe about 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I'd got it on my camera on my phone, so I think it wasn't really until I got down the road and looked at it, I went, oh, that just doesn't look right at all.
Just a wee bit of background to the listeners. I mean, I kind of found some of Peter's videos online and some of his pictures and stuff, and I contacted him to find out more about some of the photos and videos and that he was posting up. But some of them are quite good pictures. Basically, you're seeing a lot of different coloured orb and lights and that round about the sky and round about the tree lines and stuff. And so that's why I kind of contacted to find out more about it. So like after you seen that initial kind of light in the sky and drove off, and you came back up after that.
I came back up no long after that, Chris. Can't remember maybe the first time I've had much success. The second time I came up after that, I was describing that to you a wee while ago. What appeared to be a bright light, which at first I thought was a plane, sort of came over the hill to the righters off the main road there, and slowly descended down the hill. I'm not local to here, so I wasn't really sure, what scale, the hill, what we were seeing. I certainly knew it couldn't have been a car or anything.
You know it now though, you can see it now.
Oh, I can see it now, Chris. I mean, I've just explained it to you. It just was a very odd movement.
So to give the listeners a wee bit of an explanation, like we're kind of sitting at a slight valley here, but you've got a good view kind of down the valley. On the right hand side you've got like Craigmore Hill kind of running up, which runs up to maybe, I think it's about 300 metres or 400 metres roughly, which is just at the right hand side there.
We're about 1,200 feet up here, aren't we?
Aye, I think. So you've seen this light coming over the hill. So what did it look like to start off with?
Well, I actually thought we were watching a plane just going over the hill initially. And then it seemed to be coming. No, actually, it didn't go the way I expected it to go. It slowly started actually coming down the hill beside us. Just was like a white light that was sort of turning on and off initially. It was silent.
Aye, so then I'll stop you now, just to let this car pass. Aye, so there's no noise for it. I mean, but for here and now anyway, we're a good couple of 100 metres away from obviously the top of the brow of the hill, but then it kind of comes into this valley.
Aye.
So you seen that? When you seen that light coming down, it was like kind of flashing white light. How close did it get to you when you were sitting here?
When it came right down as far as it came down the hill, what are we talking about, a few hundred metres up to that bit there, Chris?
Just when you talk about that, just by the tree line there.
See where the bushes is there, just beyond there on the hill.
You're probably maybe looking about 50 to 100 metres there.
50 to 100 metres. Because I wasn't sure of the location, I really wasn't sure what I was looking at.
So it's hard to get a kind of...
It was hard to get a grip. There was no noise coming off it. I actually got sort of a bit, nervous with it initially, because to me it almost looked as if, I don't know, what a will-o'-the-wisp would have looked like. Something like that, basically. I don't know how I knew about will-o'-the-wisps, but that's certainly what I just was very, very, I was a bit nervous by it. It came down the hill and it went from a white light to seeing a red flashing light, and I actually thought, right, it must be guys in bikes, push bikes or something on it up there, and that's what we're seeing.
You always try and rationalise it.
I was trying to rationalise it, Chris, basically. But even then I sort of knew that's just no right.
What kind of time of night was this?
This would have been probably about 5, 6 o'clock on a Sunday night, winter time. It was after we'd went into the winter months, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Was there snow on the ground or anything like that?
No, there wasn't snow on the ground. There wasn't snow on the ground. It wasn't that cold or anything like that, as far as I remember. It just had gone dark. This bright light coming down. So
it changed colour to a red light.
It was going from white to red, like a flashing red, almost like a dynamo. And I'm trying to rationalise things and make myself not quite as nervous about it. So I actually thought, well, it's possibly blokes and mountain bikes.
Aye.
But they're just not making any noise, which sort of didn't make any sense to me anyway. So it went down as far as it went. I then saw red it in my mind I convinced myself it's It's guys and push mountain bikes, and they've parked their motors over there.
Aye.
And I thought they'd got into the motors, and we're seeing the red lights at the rear of the motor.
Aye, so these lights, did they increase in intensity when they were up there?
They just sort of looked like car lights. That's all my brain was registering at the time, Chris, basically.
Aye.
So I walked back over there, maybe, what's that, what do you say, about 50 feet. I walked back maybe about 50 feet, looked up, and the red lights had dimmed, and I saw something that was sort of long, I don't know. Maybe
Something was like joining the lights together or something.
It was like some type of machine, basically, Chris. More like, something like a long needle, but more, maybe like a diamond on a diamond, but it was just a long thing with a red light at each end. I shouted to my friend, he'd seen it, and then for some reason, this, it started going back up the hill.
So when it went back up the hill, it was like two red lights together.
I can't even really remember it going back up the hill. I think we'd actually turned back towards there, looking to see, the lights we looked for.
Aye.
I don't think anything happened, but a couple of nights after that, I think more as the shock of watching this thing coming down, try to rationalise it in my brain, even though I knew that what you're rationalising is know what's coming down there.
Aye.
And then obviously seeing that thing and getting a big fright.
Aye.
I don't think there's anything else I can add. I don't think I was abducted. I didn't see aliens running about or anything like that. But there was something there that I
felt weird about it.
There's something there that I couldn't identify, basically, Chris.
So after that one, you came back up numerous times.
I came back up here numerous times, and I was always searching for the lights there. Most times I would see them. If it was a particularly bad night in the winter, you might not see any at all. I don't know the explanation for that. I suppose if somebody wanted to attack them, they could say, "Oh, it's just something you're seeing," but I don't think it's that. It's just wasn't very good, a view we were getting there.
Aye.
Most of the time I've seen them. There's always been something there.
So you've been
I've had various people, witnesses coming up.
And they've kind of seen them.
Everybody's seen them. Everybody, not one single person has turned around and went, "Oh, that's just,"
Aye.
tried to debunk them. They've all been pretty taken aback by the sight of these things.
Aye, so
one occasion I came up with, there was about 4 or 5 us that time. That was the most, and that was probably one of the most impressive times. The amount of lights we were seeing, the photographs we were getting.
Are they always white, or do they change colour? I've seen different colours when you put the videos up.
Most of the time when I'm looking at them, and my eyesight's no great, I just see a really bright white light. Sometimes if somebody's got a camera with a really good, zoom on it, they're saying they're seeing red lights, which I'm not necessarily seeing.
Aye.
But most of the time it's like obviously a really bright white light.
So when they zoom into them and stuff, what are they seeing? Is it like a circular light?
I think somebody's explained this to me recently. Somebody's wanted to come over from America and film these things, and he was giving me tips, and he says to try and get them on a manual focus.
Right, okay.
More chance of catching detail, and I think quite a lot of the time when you're filming them, they've been on autofocus.
Aye.
So you're getting an orb shape.
Right, aye.
So that's what you're sort of looking at, but these, it's like it's like a spinning, colourful, it's just like a ball of energy basically you're looking at. Now I don't know what's going to happen if you've got a really good camera with a manual focus and zoom in. You're going to you probably will catch more detail.
Aye.
But I think a lot of the time the actual appearance of these things is what's getting recorded in the camera. Some type of spinning ball of energy, very colourful at times. You hearing something, Chris?
Just heard voices.
So did I.
Just let us car pass first.
Aye.
Moon's looking good tonight though.
See if we get them with that and get that moon in that shot.
Amazing, aye.
Pretty good, aye.
Just let us car
Just
pass.
something else in scale, Chris. that camcorder I've got it in a low light setting, and when it's pitch black, you know what a difference it's making.
I don't know where the voice will come to. Anyway,
I know. You told me that last time. This is a bit. This is a bit of a freaky place.
So in here, aye, so you're seeing the lights in the sky, and I've seen various kind of videos. You've got them like basically in the tree line there.
Aye.
You've got them kind of past the tree line. And if you're looking like just the looking past the tree line, then a light there now. I don't know if that's like a plane or no.
Aye.
I mean,
I was thinking that I was seeing something.
But so you've got past the tree line, and then obviously there's so you're seeing lights below that kind of ridge line and above it.
Yep.
That's just disappeared now. It's still there. I think that's probably a plane.
Is it in the sky?
I've got the I can still lightly, just vaguely see it.
Aye.
It's just kind of blinked it.
That was just about to explain that as well. Obviously, I had to think about Glasgow Airport. Are we seeing?
Aye, because it's a way over there, right?
Aye.
But it's no, and you maybe get them. You do see them flying past.
You do see things flying past.
I've got the flight tracker.
I've got flight tracker as well. I don't know what is this. Obviously, when planes have gone over, you're more sort of talking about up there and up there. So you're more or less. I'm more or less looking up the way, whereas these things are more or less level and where's in front of us.
Aye. But,
so I don't think it's planes. I've had flight tracker. Planes seem to be higher up. I've checked flight tracker. There seems to be a flight path to the east.
It'll come.
I think there's a flight path to the west. Obviously, sometimes you might have misidentified something that was a plane or.
Some of the ones, I mean, I've seen the videos. Like, they're quite low down. I mean, in the tree line.
Aye.
And then I know that obviously there is things. There's maybe roads in the back, but they're quite far away. I mean, that's like the road that's away. It's like 10 miles away, and I can't imagine the light it's casting.
Right for the word go. That was obviously one of the things I was thinking about.
You try and rationalise it.
Try
and basically.
I just don't.
Occam's razor and get what's going to be the most rational thing today. So you've been coming up. You've seen kind of numerous lights, obviously, in the tree line and in the sky above, and then obviously the adjacent hill on the right hand side. So I'm coming to the top of that. What else have you seen? Anything else about here in that area?
Maybe about.
This is about 3 years that you've been up.
3 years. About 3 years I've been coming up, Chris. Maybe about. I think it was in February 2019, which would have been 3 or 4 months after I started coming up. Oddly enough, this was on a Tuesday night, and it was the first time I came up. I was always coming up on the Sunday because that was the day that I saw the initial light.
Aye.
So I came up. Same again, it would have been late afternoon, same spot we were here, looking towards the south to see if we could see these lights, and over there, just, not even 100 yards away, there was sort of two lights, if you could imagine two invisible miners with lamps.
Aye.
That's probably about the best way to describe it, I think. They seem to be quite close. I got a bit of a fright.
So would you think it was the people with
no, I don't think so, Chris. It definitely wasn't the people, but I'm seeing something I don't really understand.
Aye.
It's not as if I'm traipsing about in the middle of the night seeing, what would give human beings away is they give off noise.
Aye.
Right. So whatever this, it was silent again. I still got
this was in the tree line, or was it above the tree line or anything like that?
See where that tree is there?
Aye.
Probably sort of like next to that.
Right.
That's how
that's quite close.
really close.
Never heard nothing at all.
Never heard anything at all.
And were they... What kind of movement were they like? Were they kind of jerky movement, or were they...
No really make much movement at all. It's as if they were just there.
Aye.
As I say, it was almost as if it was two miners with lamp, the hats on with the lamps, but you couldn't see them or even see the hat.
What made you think of that? Was it the way the light was cast, or was it...
your brain just tries to, go through and think of what it could be like that you're seeing.
So this was like probably, if you're looking on that wee ridge there, it's only maybe about 100 metres away. Right? Same bit you seen them last time, and they were like up in the trees somewhere.
They were,
like,
they were just, see where the tree is there. It's as if, just go to the left of that, it's as if they were just there, floating, no doing in. I got the fright of my life again, and I was actually saying, please don't come down, because I still was a bit scared the first time I seen that light, and then seen something, you know, it was long. A car started coming down there. All I can remember is the lights sort of dimmed. Know that the guy coming down in the motor car would have noticed anything anyway. It's almost as if they sort of knew what I was, you know, thinking. And then when the car went past, they sort of came on again, and I'm just sort of watching them, and it's as if they just sort of floated back the way and disappeared. Not a noise after them.
And this was like at night, basically.
This was it. It was sort of getting dark. You know, it was dark. That was a bit sort of, you know, a bit shocking. You know, would it been?
So was that the same time you said there was like you took a picture and you seen the
right? Well,
thing? And that wasn't just like on
the
actual screen. You seen it with a flash or something.
Aye. Well, maybe about 45 minutes, an hour after that, on the hill, sort of in the trees there was two orb lights, which I assume is the same thing that I saw there.
Aye.
And that's the first time I'd seen them there. There seem to be, I've got videos on YouTube, and you can basically see the light coming off. I don't know whether it's like a spotlight or what, but you can see the light coming off them down on the ground, and they were sort of over there.
And did they just disappear, or did they?
You know, they didn't just turn on and off. They seem to find me. If you watch the video, one of them, definitely one of the trees there, it goes behind the tree. You know, you're seeing sort of two lights, and then for whatever reason it flashed into a series of different colour lights. I'll send you that video again, Chris.
It's interesting when you say like the Will o' the Wisp thing, right? Because you know, obviously, you probably know the history. The next town up we have a foil. I mean, that's where Robert Kirk was from.
Oh, I know all about that stuff.
Who wrote the Secret Commonwealth, and this is the same area. So the thing that interested me with it as well was linking days gone by stuff, the day with the Fae, lore and all that, right, and linking it to present day stuff. So every time there was any kind of fairy lore, anywhere between like the UK and then obviously even like in Europe countries as well, it's always associated with orbs and lights and things where you get they've had names like right through history. There's names for them. I mean, Ignis Fast. There's some other name. You've got Jack o' Lantern. You've got Will o' the Wisp. There's loads of different names for them. Like and they basically the stories where like the kind of pull travellers out in the forest or whatever else.
You'll never be able to get too close to them.
Aye. So there's always that, and like so there's the stories of these things. You've got the present day ones is like the Martha lights, and then you've got like the Hassildane lights in Norway and stuff, and they've even got a station up there which records all these kind of things.
Aye.
And the thing that did interest me with the area though as well is because you've got the whole thing with Robert Kirk, who wrote the Secret Commonwealth in the 16th century, and then for that with him, obviously to do with the fairy lore and stuff like that, he was found dead at Fairy Hill or whatever, and then the legend goes he was kind of locked in fairyland. But the interesting thing was there's a passage in it where I can't recite it off by heart, but there's a passage in it and it always says best seen at twilight, and it talks about them being a gaseous form and all that kind of stuff. He was kind of in his day, kind of like a paranormal investigator these days.
I was going down to Doonhill maybe about 5-6 years ago, and round about that time I read an article about Robert Kirk. It must be online somewhere. Somebody wrote an article and said it wasn't Doonhill he was going up. It was another hill in Aberfoyle.
Aye.
I'm assuming it might have been
the
this.
Craigmore. This is Craigmore Hill here.
Aye.
So the thing interesting with this as well is every time you see these things as well, where the fairy lore and all that kind of stuff, some of the, obviously trying the scientific method of what things are or what it could be and all that, apart from obviously being some paranormal kind of thing. There's things obviously as well. We've got things that got the piezoelectric effect, which is basically down to quartz and granite and pressures of stone and all that kind of stuff. It causing a kind of electric charge and all that and everything. And it's always, and if that's anything to do with it or no, you don't know, but you end up getting things where you've got these things are seen in fault lines and all that as well. And this is a fault line here. I don't know what it is obviously, right? But now this area you've got the I think it's the Lowland Highland fault that runs basically east to west right through here. And
even that beside us, the water running beside us, you know, might be even causing some
I
type
don't know,
of
but I
thing,
mean
you know
that's
what
the thing, you get these things, but there's explanations for these things through time. But the thing is as well, the interesting thing with the fairy lore is people seen these things in days gone by, right? And about the whole fairy thing, and then like with the fae and creatures and all that kind of stuff, and then obviously all these lights and that are attached to all that kind of stuff as well. When you see present day stuff where people report things like UFOs and aliens and all that kind of stuff, abduction scenarios, you always see the kind of, there's always like Orbs and that linked in as well. And it even goes with some other stuff, like obviously you hear the other stories, like throughout the world as well, like Bigfoot stuff and all that. And then there's two camps of that, where people think it's a flesh and blood and people think it's a paranormal thing, and there's things where you see there's always orbs attached to this thing as well. So all these things that seem to be kind of, I don't know if you look through history, interlinked in some kind of way. I mean, I don't know, I've not got all the answers or anything like that. I'm just kind of,
I've been coming up here for 2-3 years now. All the things you just said there, Chris, I've considered, and especially stuff about Reverend Robert Kirk, and I still couldn't give you a definitive answer of what we're seeing here. Probably, you know, but certainly,
it'll take a wee
you
bit
know,
more
it took
out
me a
of it.
long time to make the connection with Robert Kirk and the fairy stuff, because I think I was trying to rationalise it before I went down any sort of like path like that. And I was fairly sure for the word go, there's something really weird we just saw there. No a plane, no lights away in the thing, me. And obviously considered will or a wisp. I mean, the thing that came down, I actually thought, one point I thought went through my head, are we seeing, is that a ghost or some machine they've been using on the house? I thought, are they been mining up here or something? Because it just
There is a quarry.
I know that.
So there's a quarry over the back. This area.
Well,
is like,
I didn't know that.
aye, so there's a quarry. It's like a quarry basically. It's where that kind of adjacent back, like over your kind of back right hand shoulder here.
Aye.
There's a quarry over there, which is it's basically it's fully quartz and all that as well. You know what I mean, so that all that kind of stuff as well. That
It could be a geological explanation.
That's what I'm saying. The geological thing that people used to put the explanation out is, they didn't get me wrong. Another thing as well, like where all these kind of paranormal stuff, all these paranormal kind of things, they're always around some kind of geological anomaly as well. So it's like things like a high concentration of quartz and granite, and things like that, and then you're seeing a mixture of like things happening. You know what I mean? So is it one thing that's causing one thing? I mean, in terms of, is it just a scientific thing that's getting past as maybe something that's paranormal, or is it something paranormal that's caused by the thing that's geological? So it's an interesting.
No, I mean, thinking back what I've seen, Chris, I mean, that's obviously the two. You know, I could have came up here for years and years and been looking at them and never been sure. Oh, maybe that's a plane, maybe it's a thing. But because these things came down close to me here, I always sort of knew. But even then, it was just too much for my brain to like take in.
As you said as well, it would take a bit of like further investigation. As you said earlier on, maybe try and like triangulate it a wee bit better and stuff as well, and do all that.
The other occasion, I'll just mention this just now. Most of the time, I've been, you know, Chris, you've seen them, Chris. They've seen lights right in front of us.
Aye.
2 occasions have been down beside me here, and the one occasion where I saw what I expected to see as I went back down the hill was on Halloween night. You know, there was, you know, I just parked the motor in the road, tree right in front of me. There was 2 like lights with a bluish tinge, and I really couldn't tell how close they were to me. They could have been something quite small and really close, which is what I actually think it was I was looking at.
So where were you seeing these about?
As you go back down Craigmore Hill, maybe 3-4 minutes drive down that road, no too far, maybe about halfway down, Chris. The 2 lights were right in front of me, and over to the left, I mean, in sort of like in the woods on the ground, I could see a white light, and it was splitting into 2 and 3. It's the exact same thing that I've been recording from here.
Was that triangular set of lights that you took recently?
No, it was no. This was a Halloween night, Chris. But obviously now, the more and more I'm going down there, the more and more I'm sort of tending to stop and have a look and see what's on there. I basically saw on Halloween night what I always thought I would have saw on the hill somewhere, but that, you know, it was like two years after I started coming up before I actually spotted it on the hill.
Aye. No, it's totally interesting.
You know.
So, all these, so you've been obviously coming up, and I mean the one you recorded recently, and I mean, so you've seen the triangular set.
A triangle set. Just.
So that was there was a mix. You said it was a mix between in the actual sky.
In the actual sky, there seemed to be a very bright star, a planet that I didn't notice from up here. It's only as I got quite close to the bottom of the hill, and there it was forming a perfect triangle with two lights on the ground. Now I don't come from here.
Aye.
I don't know what houses are in hills. It could have been that, but it certainly seemed to form a perfect triangle.
I've seen the video. Aye.
You've seen the video.
Aye.
Now I don't know what I was looking at. I just, you know, I sort of didn't.
Well,
the one in the sky didn't behave like how I thought it might have behaved. If it turned itself off, I would have went, "Oh, it's them."
So that light stayed there.
That light, I mean, there was certainly a bright star, a planet, on the way down the road.
Aye.
So I just sort of more or less dismissed what I'd recorded, not really thinking anything about it. And then later on, I'll show you. It's in that cat. I'll show you the video, Chris. The sort of what was a star, a planet in the sky. There was another one on the ground, and above that there was like an orb light. It's only recorded in the camcorder because it was in the low light setting, Chris.
Aye. See, that's the thing as well.
So it just seems really weird. I don't know what
they're finding elsewhere as well, when there's lights getting seen elsewhere in the country.
Aye.
And they're finding it. You can't see them with the naked eye. You can see them with like there's one of the researchers doing in Yorkshire, Paul Sinclair. He's using like a Synox, as a Synox. Sorry for getting this wrong. But it's a Synox or Synox camera, and it's like a kind of night vision camera.
Aye.
And he was out with somebody, and I think the person had one. I think he's got one now or whatever. But or another guy who works with, he's got one. But they said they could see it through the camera. Right, it was out to sea. This is like in eastern North Yorkshire, and they could see through the camera out to sea, but they couldn't see it with the naked eye. So they linked it in. You could actually kind of see a lot of these things. You can see a lot of these things in infrared spectrum, and you can see them on like night vision and stuff. But sometimes you can't see them with the naked eye. Sometimes you can. So they see these things. They go out and have a look for these things quite a lot, and like they actually burn like bright kind of orange and all that kind of stuff. And they've got videos of them coming in and out of the water.
Water as well. I mean, some type of the only thing I'll say about it, and I hope this doesn't sound ridiculous, the one thing that everybody's commented on that's been up here, you know, there seems to be an intelligence behind it. What going on about aliens and all that, which I'm not really interested in. You know, almost like you know, sometimes when I come up here and, you know, we was getting a good display, and maybe for 10-15 minutes they would just disappear.
Aye.
So I'd be like, I'm going down the road and go over, start taking the camera off the tripod, and they would just appear again.
Aye.
You know, it was almost as if that, you know, they were aware.
That's kind of what happens, like doing. I've just mentioned again, Paul Sinclair. So if you've no listened to Paul Sinclair stuff, you should listen to it soon. Pretty good. I've got him on a podcast in a couple of weeks. So they do stuff where he said it's got an intelligence in the sense where they'll see these lights as soon as they're going to get a camera out, they turn off, and then they'll turn back on again and things like that. Aye, so it's like that, and they've been saying he actually, like, I was looking online the other day and that's what I wouldn't mind doing as well in this area, to find out what other, apart from the whole Robert Kirk thing, to look back to see what other people have seen through the years here.
I've been trying, I was trying like on Facebook, you know, I'd send occasional video to like people in Aberfoyle, hoping somebody would say, I've seen that, but I've never had a return back. That really annoys me about the Robert Kirk thing. You know, when I seen that light and I started looking for the article again, because I remember reading it at the time and thinking, well, that can't be right.
Aye.
You know, they've got a big tree in the middle of that down the hill, and it says that's where he was buried and all that.
Aye.
So at the time I didn't really...
His gravestone's still down in the car.
I've been seeing the gravestone. It's just when I read the article I thought, well, that can't be right, can it? Then when I saw that, I started looking for it again, thinking, is that the hill that I just saw that light on, you know what I mean?
Aye.
They definitely said they thought it wasn't Downhill, it was another hill in Aberfoyle.
Aye, I kind of thought that as well.
And I'm assuming it's here.
Because when you read the book and stuff and as well, and I think it's more to do with... Because he talks to them... he talks to the things living in like the cracks of rocks and like through... it's like in the kind of mountains and stuff like that, and like cave dwellers and all that. But I mean, like inside though, that's the kind of thing it's like it's talked about. It doesn't seem like the same place. I mean, that's like in a kind of flatland area with that mound bit in the middle.
Just a mound, yep. Oh, I definitely think there's something weird about it. That's not to say that there's no. I just definitely said it wasn't Downhill. It was another hill in Aberfoyle. I'll take a wee bit, Chris. Right, brilliant, bro. Thank you. I was going to go and buy some sort of net and see if I could get it, stick it in my head, but I forgot all about it.
I've got one somewhere, but I don't know where it is.
Aye.
Midges are horrendous.
You see them in Isle sometimes, Chris. Oof.
If you've never experienced, just for the listeners, if you've never experienced midges before, get yourself up to Scotland and
you'll not come back again.
Through the end of summer, or even during summer, they're horrendous. They'll eat you alive.
They don't tell you about this.
You can't see them.
I know that's a thing. Aye. Thanks,
I'll
Chris.
stick it back up. You can keep coming back up and stuff and see them and whatever. And so, on that note as well, like have you had any other experiences apart from here in the past and stuff
just
like that?
Going down on Halloween night, as I say, I basically saw what I've been seeing from up here at a place I always expected that I would see them, but it took me 2 years to see it, basically, Chris. So, and you know, I just feel responsible for recording this. Once you start doing it and getting into it, you know.
Aye.
And even that last time was quite good, you know, because it was a bit, you know, forming a triangle shape, and it obviously was a star, a planet, or what. I'm saying that's what I thought it was.
Aye,
so seeing it different places, different possible explanations for it is good, you know what I mean?
Well, this place aside, have you had any other experiences in your life today with anything? Like any paranormal kind of things, or you see anything else?
A couple of times.
It's always interesting to see if you're, because I always find that when I talk to people and they've maybe had one experience, they've potentially had other experiences or seen other things.
I've seen strange things in the sky 3 times, I think. Very first time, and I've got a weird explanation for this, which most people probably wouldn't go into. I think I was 10 or 11 years old. I think it was 1980. It was the night before I went on my first ever foreign holiday. So I was in quite an excitable state, really, when I think about it. I suppose it should have been. Lying on the living room floor. This was maybe about 10 o'clock at night. What a Parkinson or something would have been on the telly. And I just remember the way I was looking at the telly, big bay windows and like a round white light basically just sort of floated across the sky. And I obviously had the fright of my life. I'd never seen anything like that before. So I said to my mum the next day, I think I seen a flying saucer last night, and she burst out sort of laughing, as you would.
Aye.
And then the Sunday Mail got delivered. I think maybe about the 3rd page, there was a report, like people had seen something the day before.
In the same area?
No, in the same. No, I was in Glasgow, Denison at the time. Might have been up in Perthshire or something like that. But just even the fact that it was in the paper and my mum saw it just after what I'd said to her made her think.
Aye.
So, on that holiday, just to make this brief, on that holiday a lot of things happened. I learned to swim. Took me a long time, but that was an amazing experience. Got a backie on a motorbike and my leg touched the exhaust pipe, so it came up in a really bad blister.
Aye.
Me and my mum and dad and sister were up, we were in Ibiza, we were up walking the hills, and these Spanish kids fired an air pistol at a nest of hornets, so we get violently attacked by hornets.
Aye.
And there was a really bad thunderstorm, which I'd never experienced in all my life in Glasgow. So even though I didn't really connect it at the time, I sort of realised that was like an omen, seeing that thing. Right. It might just be a total coincidence. But as longer and longer I got in life, the more and more I reflected on it.
Going back to the
Because
site,
it had a big impact on me. Seeing people seeing UFOs, it's a big thing. Some people report it and all that. It had a big impact on me, seeing that, Chris. No, at the point of me.
Apart from like talking to your mum about it, you never told anybody else about it or that? Or?
At the time,
Aye.
no,
No.
really.
And what was it like when you remember? What was it you see?
It was
Going
as
back
if
to the
somebody
actual site?
turned one of those searchlights on that used to get in old war movies and moved it across the sky.
And was it just a light you seen, or could you see something?
Round white light.
Yeah, it's all right, that light.
Round white light just went right across the roof. We were on the top floor of the tenement at the time, so it just looked as if it went right across the rooftop. And I'd never seen anything like that. I don't think I've actually ever seen anything like that since then.
Aye.
You know, and I was like, I said to my mum and my dad, if it was at the point the schools were just about to go back, so I was taking a holiday for 2 weeks to Spain, just as the schools had went back. If I hadn't taken a holiday and went back, I probably would have talked a lot more about it.
Aye.
So they'd been like, because I went away and then there was
Aye, you
nothing.
can't put it to the back of your mind.
I was away for 2 weeks and I was away, and so even my life changed a wee bit. So I didn't get the opportunity to say to anybody at the time. So aye, well that happened maybe about 2003, 2004. This is going to sound totally ridiculous, and I don't mean it to sound ridiculous,
Well, that's the main thing is when people tell these
because
stories.
I'm
and that-
comfortable telling this story.
Aye.
And I'm uncomfortable because I didn't see part of it, but I'll just tell you exactly what happened.
Aye.
What I remember happening. At Parkhead Cross, right next to the Forge, I was driving along Tollcross Road, where there's traffic lights right at Parkhead Cross on Tollcross Road. I sort of seen a light flashing, something like the traffic lights, but it wasn't the traffic lights.
Aye.
Just like as if the orange lamber light had flashed or something. That's just what, I don't really ever, it's only when I was trying to think of what happened after it, and then I think I've seen it again, and then right above the roof, the building at Parkhead Cross, there was grey clouds, and I thought I saw something that looked like a crane arm, the same colour as a cloud lifting out of the cloud. And my mum was sitting next to me in the motor, and I didn't say anything to her. I didn't even know I didn't even know what the hell I was looking at or what I'd just seen. So I'd stopped in the road.
So this thing, just to go back, this thing was in the cloud, and it was like the top of the cloud opened up.
It was just like the same, I don't
It
know.
was the same colour as the cloud.
It was the same colour of the cloud, and it looked as if it was like a crane arm or something like that getting hoisted up out of the cloud.
Aye.
Even old Meccano, it was like something like that, just like a crane arm or something.
There was nothing in that background that was like high
no,
up,
that's
basically.
all I remember seeing, Chris. And I didn't say anything to my mum. I was trying to turn into the next street parallel to, I think it's Westmuir Street, because I knew if I get along there, I'll see directly in front. And at that moment, I was waiting. My mum let out a shriek, and I went, "You all right?" She says she saw a cloud just go right across in front of us.
Aye, so the same thing.
So I didn't see that bit.
Aye. But she seen the thing move. That
She
close.
saw a cloud basically just taking off.
What year was that again, sorry?
This was 2003, I think, or 2004 or something like that, Chris. Not that long ago.
That's quite interesting though, but so that's people see things like that, you know what I mean? Same colour as clouds, hiding clouds, all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? It's like,
And when I tried to remember exactly what had happened, for some reason I was seeing this other light there, as if, I mean, you're talking about this is really quickly.
I see, the thing is though, when you're talking about the stories and it's like it's like a short story,
Aye.
but it might play with somebody else's, you know what I mean? So it's like it's a data point that might somebody else said, I've seen something like that,
Like
or
that, I
I've
know
seen
that.
something, and it's like it's just piecing all these wee bits of the
See, when you
puzzle
see
together.
people on these programmes, I would never go on one of these programmes and speak about it because I'm not really wanting, I'm quite,
Most people don't.
when
I
they
mean,
try and explain this, and they just, you can sort of see them getting frustrated about it and all that. That's how I sort of feel about that. Because trying to describe that, and I still don't, and especially I didn't see the last bit. I was literally try to turn and hang me. I never said anything to my mother, and then she let out a sort of shriek, more or less. She got a big fright about it, Chris. So, the last one, the best one. 2009, I went for a holiday at the Isle of Skye. I was there with a couple of mates. I was right in amongst all the... There's quite a few ferry places in Skye, Chris.
Aye, it was like, you've got like Fairy Glen.
Aye, so I went with 2 or 3 mates. They were wanting to go hiking across the Coolins and all that, and I wasn't really bored about that. So I took myself off to all these ferry places. I went into Skye craft shop, and I even bought this thing. It was like a bit of quartz or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
With like, something stuck in the end. This lassie was right in the fairy things, It was like a fairy charm or something like that. No, something I would have normally done.
Yeah.
Basically. So I sort of seemed to be away in a little, I think I was going almost away in another La La Land. We'd actually been in a La La Land, but doing things that I maybe wouldn't have normally done.
Mm-hmm.
So, what happened exactly again? My mates had been out walking. We all went back, rented a cottage down near Talisker Distillery.
Mm-hmm.
Loch, I can't remember the loch. We were right on a loch. Absolutely beautiful. But for the word go, I felt uncomfortable in the place we were staying.
Aye.
I just felt... I don't believe I've ever walked into somewhere and felt this place is haunted. I've, never really experienced anything like that. But for some reason, I just felt really uncomfortable in this house we rented. Anywho, so June 2009, really beautiful. The weather was like this just now. It was, amazing. So we went for a drive, and there was me and 2 of my mates, and one of my mates' sons had stayed behind in the house. He was tired, wanted to get a rest, so we went for a drive. Ended up right at the north end of Skye on a beach. There was nobody else there on the beach. Was it like a mental match? Do you know something? I don't even know if I'd be able to find it, but it's there somewhere. I'm not making a story up. So, there's something that I've read online. When people are about to see a UFO, they might get a sort of tingling about it, or awareness about it.
Aye.
Right, I think this has only happened once. It wasn't something that completely disturbed me. I wasn't hearing voices. From what I recall, I think it was almost like some telepathic thing was going on or something. I don't know.
What made you can you think that?
Because when I get out the motor,
Was that a feeling, or did you hear
I said to something, I'm going to leave my camera in the motor. Show yourself. That's what I remember.
Right.
My mate had walked in front of me, right in front of the beach. I remember getting out the car. Sorry, I put the car, the same thing I said in my mind to whatever that. No, that sounds ridiculous.
No,
I wasn't hearing voices, but it's as if I was sort of like, you couldn't plan this out. You know what I mean? Even if you're aware of it, you couldn't plan it out. So, my mate had sort of walked ahead of me on the beach. I just remember putting the camera away after saying, right, I'm leaving it here, and turning to the left, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful summer night, and just thinking, this is amazing. Turning to my mate, who was sort of looking towards that way. So I followed where he was looking, and there was some type of object there, round.
So would you say it was like what kind of size was this thing?
It might have been the size of a car, or the size.
Was this offshore? Was it like?
It was quite
above
close.
The sea? Above
I
the
think
sea?
it was sort of just probably at the edge of where the water was and where the beach was.
Aye.
It was really close.
About the size of a car. Was it round or?
It was round. I
was
think
it
it was a
like
blue colour. I
like an
think
object?
it was an object. I think it was like a blue colour.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was metallic.
So could you
Blue,
see,
making a big song and dance about it.
Could you like see through it? Was it solid?
No,
or
it was solid.
totally solid, aye.
It was solid. Now, mind, this all happened in milliseconds, or
Aye.
no a long time. I remember there was a light coming off it, and the light seemed to like come round like the sort of thing off a lighthouse sweep, but nowhere near as big as a lighthouse sweep, but the same sort of effect. And now I got the fright of my life, and I about turned and walked back towards the car, trying to make it look as if I was absolutely terrified. I didn't run. That's the only thing I was going, don't run, just walk back to the motor. And that's all that I know about it.
Anybody else seeing?
My mate who was on the beach, who was more or less, I didn't realise at the time, he was just frozen in fear as well, looking up at the thing.
Aye.
He says that the thing shot towards me. I don't know anything about that. I wasn't aware of anything behind me. All I remember is I wanted to get straight back to the motor as quick as I can. Hey, Boricus. My mate had been sitting, my other mate had stayed in the car and hadn't got out the car. I said to him, did you see that? And he didn't seem to know what I was talking about, which I thought was a bit weird. Didn't make a big song and dance about it. There's one there, Chris.
I know, I'm just getting flight tracker. There's nothing there. See, right, that's like well above the
I know.
ridge line there. That's just sitting there.
That's just sitting there, that's one of them.
There's nothing on flight tracker.
And I mean, if it's the same thing as the last time I went down, there was a star. That doesn't look like the stars.
You'll see it there because it's like it's right in between the two trees there. So you can't. It's like.
Oh, there we go.
See it?
I
It's
see
just
it.
sitting there. That's like.
Weird, isn't it?
Aye, so what we're seeing now is I've just seen a light, obviously, right?
Aye.
So the light, there's a tiny gap in between the trees. The ridge line of the adjacent hill is above that, so it's in the sky. It's in between these trees. It's just a kind of a white light, but it seems to be kind of like flickering. There's nothing on flight tracker data, which I've got up here now. Nothing at all for the area, or even like further out with the area. There's nothing there. Can't hear nothing. Can't see nothing on that. You still see it? You can see it here.
I'm just about to try and get it in the camcorder, Cliff. There you go, it must have been listening.
Can you see that? No.
I've not got it in the cam. Oh, I can see it, I've just not got it in the camcorder yet.
Can you see it? I mean, can you see it from there, where you are?
Aye, there.
Can you see it from there?
I think so, Chris.
There, it's there. Look, I can see it from here.
Oh, aye.
See it?
Yeah. There's a sneaky wee.
See, that's a.
It's as if somebody's got a motor car that's floating in the air.
Aye, it's
isn't it?
like it's. That's bright now. I'm going to get the binos out. Wait a minute.
Screw the interview, let's do some filming.
Can you still see it?
I'll be back again, Chris.
Is it gone? It's gone.
It could come back on quite quickly.
Time.
That's no bad, Chris.
11. So
That's about an hour after sunset then or something.
we just seen, well, just for the listeners, we just seen a light basically above the tree line. Oh, it looks a good bit away above the tree line. It's in this, definitely in the sky, so it's no in the adjacent hill or anything like that. It's definitely in the sky, and then it's if it's dipped either down behind the tree line or it's to the left of the tree and I can't see it anymore. But it's sat there for a good while. There's nothing on flight tracker.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. I've got hills away, mate. I mean, I look at my bedroom window. I've got the hill, the Black Hill transmitters on, and I never see anything like that. I see planes coming up occasionally, but you tell straight away it's planes.
No, that's nothing there. Right, so sorry about that.
Oh, look at.
Aye, so the thing, sorry, just going back to that for the listeners, sorry about that, we just seen something, so. So for the thing you seen on the beach, which as you said, it was a kind of a sphere shape, blue type metallic, size of a car, and your friend said he seen it coming towards you.
When I turned away to walk back the car, he says the thing shot towards me. I don't know anything about that. I don't know if anything bad happened. I sort of joked, because I looked at my time and I knew what the sort of time was. I went, I don't think we're missing time. I don't think we were abducted here or anything like that.
Aye.
What transpired after that was really weird. I couldn't understand how my mate, who hadn't got out the motor, hadn't seen what we'd seen, and he sort of seemed to be acting. Could he have been in shock and just wasn't he prepared to say what he'd seen? I don't know what was going on with him. When I went down to get my other mate, who was on the beach and had saw it, he, for whatever reason, he just kept on saying to me, I felt your fear, Peter. I felt your fear. And I went, I just went, what the hell's going on here? Drove down.
Did you stay about after that, or did you just leave?
No, we went headed down the road.
And did you notice any, was there any missing time or anything like that?
Honestly, Chris, I don't think so. It was one of the first things I did, just sort of jokingly.
Aye.
Because I was fairly sure I just glimpsed that thing, got the fright of my life, and about turned and walked back to the motor car. It was weird. I certainly wasn't that bored about it, but I wasn't too happy with how I was judging how, my two mates were.
Aye.
One seeming to be a bit sort of off for whatever reason, and no saying that he'd seen anything, and then my other mate is just completely gone, and he's no a shrinking violet. That, this guy's been in, as far as I'm aware, had been in the jail and stuff like that, but he was really, so the story doesn't end there.
Right, okay.
My mate's son had stayed back in the house, so when we drove back down there, it might have taken about 45 minutes to an hour from where that beach was in Skye to get back down the road again. And as soon as I walked in, and I was sort of still in an excitable state, desperate to tell, wait to hear what we've seen and all that. As soon as I walked into that living room, that boy looked worried. And he asked us, did you come back here earlier on? And I went, no, how? He was lying in his bed and he said he heard footsteps or people walking about the house. And at that point I just went, probably because I was being protective of my mate's son. That probably sounds ridiculous. Probably because, it's a natural instinct, my mate's son. So, in my mind I was trying to say to whatever I'd said, I'm leaving my camera in the car. And, in my best sort of East End accent, I was threatening it, saying I was going to do this, that and the next thing here. I was effing raging because...
So whatever it was, you think the same thing actually affected him as well back at the place?
Oh, something happened, Chris.
Aye.
Something happened.
So what did he say?
He just said he was lying in his bed and he heard something in the flat. I don't know if he heard voices or it was just footsteps or what exactly.
It's just interesting how
his face was pretty white.
All these different things connect. You know what I mean? Because you get people who are generally into the kind of ghost camp and that and kind of stuff, and people are into UFOs. And you get people who are into it just seems to all be connected and stuff.
Aye.
There's loads of theories on that.
I just thought, I'd been going a lot. I tell you why I said that. I'd been going to quite a lot of standing stones in Isla. I'd went to the Callanish stones at Lewis, Kilmartin Glen. There's a lot of standing stones. I'd been visiting there a couple of times. There was a couple of funny photos, so I assumed that maybe disturbed something at one of these standing stones, and that's what this was all about. So when I get back and my mate's son had said that, I was absolutely convinced that I was seeing these, there was some sort of connection to me visiting standing stones. And that's why I said to it, I'll effing do you in. Don't dare come in here and do that to that boy. He's got nothing to do with this. Which might sound mad, it's just how I felt at the time. I didn't sleep that night, I was absolutely terrified.
It definitely seems like something's happened.
Oh, something happened. I don't know. It was weird. Nobody ever really talked about it after that. It sort of drove a sort of wedge. don't know, it's just a bit odd.
It's funny you saying that, because you always hear sometimes you get cases when people are together, and then when the thing, whatever the event is finishes, they seem to not talk about it and they seem to separate.
Aye, I don't
You do get a lot of stories like that. I mean, with people either
I've had no problem.
they'll not talk about it after,
Aye.
and they'll separate after as well, and they
Aye.
might just kind of, as you said, kind of drive a wedge through you after that kind of thing because of some event.
I certainly wouldn't. I wouldn't have tipped that to have happened, to tell you the God's honest truth. You seen something else, Chris?
No, I'm just saying a bit.
I certainly wouldn't have tipped that to happen. I certainly didn't plan it, but I never really had a great deal of conversations about it after it. You know, and as far there was like the mate who said that he hadn't seen any. I don't know where not. I don't know what he's. You know, I just couldn't understand how he didn't see any.
Aye.
But I certainly thought maybe he might have thought that I'd caused something unpleasant to happen. I don't know. He knew I was going to Standing Stones and stuff like that. So I really don't know. I certainly, when you go, the actual experience of seeing it, you know.
And you only seen it for a split second, this thing at the
Just
beach.
a split second. You know, I basically crapped myself. I think I snapped. If there was some sort of telepathic thing going on, I think I got such a fright, I snapped myself out it. You know, because I've gone for sort of seeming to be talking to something or something and saying I'm going to leave my camera, to getting the fright of my life and, you know, try to get away from it as quickly as possible.
It's not the first time I've heard that as well, though, where I've heard other stories as well where people have said that, like as in internally I've said to someone, right, I'm going to leave my camera and do this and do that, and then they have an experience, or it's like I've heard a lot of things like that.
I'm no lying, I'm no over exuberating, I'm not trying to impress anybody, I'm trying to tell you exactly what I remember happening. I don't think that's ever happened. I mean, we're talking about less than 5 minutes, a couple of minutes. I don't think that's ever happened. I've certainly never felt as if there was conversations with something that, you know, like that. So, I don't know, Chris.
Aye, totally.
I don't know where or not I'd like to go and live it.
Totally interesting.
For whatever reason.
Stories, though, you know what I mean?
Aye.
Yes.
I'll tell you another thing, you know, how spooked I was, I think, by that place, or maybe just because I've been visiting the Standing Stones. Just no right for whatever reason. Imagine that, eh?
I totally appreciate the stories.
Telling aliens you're going to knock me up or whatever there, you know what I mean? And I came back with a rash in my back.
Well, see that's
I
it's
came
mad.
back with
I
a
mean, all these things.
I ca-
There's all these things. There's somebody looking at that. I mean, you've got potential. If you've seen that thing, somebody else has seen it. One person looks like he's well, a couple of these are traumatised. The other person back at the thing is obviously had some kind of experience. You've got a rash on your back. I mean, like you can put all these kind of things together. I mean, potentially you could even look at saying.
I obviously get worried when I came back and had a rash on my back, and I don't think I heard about the thing supposedly following me until after I decided. I don't know what this rash is, and I'm not going to a doctor's with it, whatever the effort is, you know what I mean?
Followed you? Was this like when your mate said that?
The light, the thing that we saw above the beach, when I turned round and went back to the motor, he says the thing shot towards me.
Ah, right, okay.
I don't know anything about that.
Right.
I wasn't aware of anything behind me. That doesn't make any sense to me, because what I saw, if that had shot towards me, I would like to think there was still enough senses about me, I would have noticed that. So I've got difficulty retelling a story because of that happening.
Aye.
With me not being aware of that.
See, the thing with that is like there's multiple witnesses here. You know what I mean? And he's all. And relatively, you say it was a short encounter. You don't know if it was any longer than that. But in terms of that as well, it's done. There's definitely something's happened to like spook you out. And cause some kind of.
Listen to the interview you did with that guy up behind me. I don't think I ever got quite as bad, but you tell the effect it had on him seeing that thing.
Aye.
The Silver Man up at Kelly. It was obviously something similar to probably that with me.
There's been other sightings as well.
Aye.
Apparently, like one of the guys who investigates on like West Lothian, he'd kind of picked up another couple of sightings off somebody else about it.
Did he?
Aye. And that whole area. I mean, there's that whole area. There's a lot of kind of strange sightings and that. I mean,
I tell people this is fascinating and all that, and I'm not trying to scare anybody.
Aye.
When these things happen, I don't think there's anything you could prepare yourself for
Oh,
it.
totally, aye.
You know, that's what people maybe not picking up on. It might sound amazing, or everybody would want to thing me, but it would never happen how you could imagine it to happen.
Aye.
That's why it's so shocking when it does happen, Chris, you know what I mean?
No,
You
I mean, the one I was telling you before, I think, when I'd done one of the podcasts with another guy that had a previous encounter in Armadale,
Aye.
and he relayed that he'd seen a few things more recently, who were that kind of same area, like large kind of sphere type things and stuff like that in the air. And then for that podcast, somebody else contacted me and said, we've seen
Same things.
the same. Oh, it was like a kind of orange type kind of orb in the sky around about the same area.
Aye,
Different time though.
Uh-huh.
And then looking back on some of the other stuff via like some of the other websites and that, you're finding dating back another couple of years, there's sightings in the same area. So people see these things, and now it's coming a bit more accepted that people see these things.
Oh, I think so. I mean, certainly these things in America, Tic Tac, UFOs,
Aye, all
they
that
seem to
kind
be
of stuff,
thinking
and
all
the
that,
whole kind of report and all that.
I mean, the
it's-
thing about these things, you should read so many theories about them. I certainly don't think these things could be controlled. You know, like even just the idea of understanding what they are, or just snapping your fingers and the things are going to turn up or anything like that.
Do you,
never
do you
totally
think,
understand.
if I was going to ask you, what do you, if you were going to try and put a label on this, like this, maybe you're seeing, or even like the thing you've seen on the sky, if you put a label on it, what would you say? Would you say it's like a nuts and bolts kind of UFO thing, or would you say it's a living thing, or would you say
both.
it's part of something? What would your kind of explanation for it would be?
Certainly, if you were sitting down rationally, and even all the things that we experienced, I would try and explain it as some type of paranormal phenomena or something like that, or and when I've seen, something that's obviously metallic and solid, that goes against the grain of how I would like to see these things, you know what I mean? So
you would see it more as like maybe a living thing, but then when you've seen like the nuts and bolts side of it, it's kind of like different for you then. Or?
Aye, basically. It'd be quite easy to come up here and just go, it's to do with the fairies and it's just fairy lights. And I'd be quite happy with that, but because I saw that thing coming down, it was like a machine. I don't know.
But the whole, as I'm saying, the whole fairy thing, right? The whole fairy thing is just it's you can believe it like the whole take the whole kind of theory thing, believe in that or no believe in that or whatever. I mean, in terms of like, I know people kind of follow the face stuff and whatever, but to me, I look at it as a thing where people seen stuff then, and they've seen stuff right through the ages, and they called it whatever it was at that time.
What was ever?
Knew it's only something else. Knew they were only kind of like aliens and that. And they all seen the same thing. Has it all been the same thing? Is it all part of the same thing?
It must be. I'm assuming, Chris.
And it's just different. It's different. Religious beliefs will let them see some, or different beliefs will let them see some, or different traditions will let them see something else. And they'll just logically maybe at the time say, well, it must be that, or it must be this.
Yep.
And now we're in a sense now we're looking at if it's nothing we can't explain, it must be for somewhere else rather than be for here and things we can't see. I mean, there's that much out there that we can't see.
It's fascinating. I mean, I've been coming up here 3 years. I couldn't put a definitive label on what these things are. I couldn't really make a direct connection with the other things I've seen because each of them, sort of stands out on its own. Even the thing, lifting itself at a cloud, it didn't look like what I seen in the sky.
Aye.
Didn't look, you couldn't
Totally
really make any
different,
connect.
aye.
Totally different. So whether or not these are nuts and bolts spaceships coming for us or other dimensions,
Aye.
it's still even very difficult to make. I've got the answer for this. I saw this and then I saw this. I know what this is. I can't do that with any of the things I've seen. And I can't do it with these things. Even the way they're appearing, I can't do it with any of the other things I've seen. So I don't know, Chris.
It's a hard one. Listen,
Aye.
I totally appreciate your time and coming up and showing us the area and obviously telling your stories and stuff like that. I mean,
No
so,
bother,
like,
it's
thank
been a
you for
pleasure,
coming
Chris.
on.
It's
It's
been
a pleasure as well. So.